Afternoon, everyone. Thanks for introducing that mouthful, Rich. Yeah, we missed the last bit off, I think, but yeah. Building lightweight front-end applications that are easy to reason about. It's just something that I've had in my mind of late, and I wanted to delve into a bit. Just to set the history a bit, so the background. So previously, we've been building applications using a heavyweight framework. That was AngularJS 1. It gave us an abstraction for managing state and rendering our views with services, controllers, and directives, pattern for sort of file structure, a set of tooling for development and testing. So we had Karma for running our tests, Protractor, which was a nice abstraction on top of Selenium that played well with Angular. And we had an ecosystem of plugins. But we had a lot of problems as well. So as the application scaled in size, we found that it became increasingly difficult to reason about and to debug. Lots of localized component state. So rather than the application state being all in one place, it's all split all across the application. Two-way data flow with two-way binding and watches. I found it can be a bit difficult to test at times and easy to write poorly. More issues, performance issues. Could be partly down to how we were using it, but we were having a lot of those. It didn't really work on mobile phones. Vendor locking, so when we want to start thinking about migrating maybe our state management or rendering the view, it's quite difficult to migrate parts when you're using a big controlling framework like Angular. And it's big. It's about 168 kilobytes, so it's quite big to serve that with every request. So what's a better way? We're now composing our applications by, rather than one big framework, we're composing it via a set of libraries. We're using React and Redux. This gives us a nice separation of concerns. So React is responsible for rendering our views, and Redux is responsible for managing our application state. We've got reduced vendor lock-in, i.e. what I mean by that is it's easier to swap out one part of it now without swapping out the whole thing, and it's lightweight. So just to delve into a bit more about what's good about React. So React is responsible, I'm sure as you all know, for a paradigm shift in front-end development. Declarative views, that nice separation of concerns that I mentioned. Some useful concepts, such as higher-order components. Fairly lightweight, around 25 kilobytes, and there's an abundance of nice component libraries out there that we can use to get us developing more quickly. But what could be better about how we're using React? So one thing I've been thinking about of late, we're still using some localized component state in places. This again, the more of this we use, the more difficult our applications become to reason about and to debug. It's kind of a step backwards in some ways. It breaks that separation of concerns, I feel, in that it's introducing state management back into our React view rendering concern. So one thing we could look to do is remove all state from our components and use state as functional components. One discipline we need to just be wary of keeping up is breaking down large components, break things down as small as possible. This makes it, again, our code easier to read. This makes it easier to test. And yeah, just some things we could think about as well. It is more heavyweight than some of the alternatives out there. And we might want to think about, do we want to enforce this JSX abstraction on top of JavaScript when there are other ways that we could look into doing that. Redux, big fan of Redux. It's a Flux-inspired library that models our application state as a single state atom with a unidirectional data flow. This makes it really easy to reason about what the state of our application is at any one time, because it's all there in one JavaScript object, and changes or mutation states are all done in a one-way data flow pipeline. It's really easy to test, and it's really lightweight, so it's about 2 kilobytes. So that coupled with React is, you're looking at about 27 kilobytes. That's about, about 1/7 of the size of Angular, so it's a lot smaller. And side effects have been managed well with Redux targets. But again, what could we be doing better with Redux? So one thing that me and Andre have been using within pension education is a REDUX-WHAT pattern. It's quite a nice pattern for structuring your Redux modules, essentially as reducer bundles, and what you're kind of doing there is you're inverting the convention of, rather than grouping your code by the type of code that it is, you're grouping it by what feature is it part of. With this, you can essentially stick all your code for a feature in one place and then expose a nice consistent API to other areas of your application that want to consume this. Just again, being disciplined with side effect management. Redux Saga is what we're currently using for that, and I think these things, they do introduce a bit of an overhead, a bit of extra boilerplate at times, but personally I do feel that it's worthwhile, especially as applications grow in size. Again, this is kind of leading on from that point about React, but we could get rid of that local state and manage everything with the one single state atom, and also just use of reselect. Just a couple of things I'll throw in quickly that we could consider. We could consider something like REDUX-JS as an alternative for Redux sagas. It would just reduce some of our tie-in with Redux. Redux loop, just something I was reading about this morning, so quite nice we could look into. And what I really want to talk a little bit more about is some of the React alternatives, and this is something that I think we could really look at right now. So there's DEKU, but the one that will probably strike you more quickly there is PREACT, only 3 kilobytes. It's effectively a drop-in replacement for React, but it's not only faster, you're looking at about a tenth of the size, so it's a lot smaller. Another slightly bigger change of direction we could consider is something called YO-YO.JS. This is combining a couple libraries, Bell, which Bell uses template literal strings within ES6 to create your template. So you're getting rid of that abstraction of JSX on top of JavaScript, and you're essentially using native JavaScript. And then Morphdom does away with the virtual DOM, but it's able to kind of keep a lot of that speed, but it does mean that your DOM then becomes your single source of truth for your view. And that's what a YO-YO template would look like. So you can see it's pretty similar really to a React template, but instead of your JSX syntax, you've just got straight up JavaScript. One other thing I thought I'd throw in quickly, I've not really personally got much experience with type checking within JavaScript, and it's something that I know we've considered a bit before, and I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about it, but potentially, especially within some of our larger applications, this might make the code base actually easier to reason about and easier to see how parts of our application are actually integrating together. It could provide us with a more robust code base, and it could help us catch integration issues faster. TypeScript's also fairly mature now as well. So just some sort of closing thoughts. I think we've created a solid stack for our front-end application development. And I think we're generally using it, the tools that we've got really well. I think there's still some improvements that we can make. The first one would be potentially consider swapping out React. I think PREACT would be quite a good thing to investigate. And maybe consider at some point investigating again in some sort of typed superset of JavaScript. Cool.